Hello folks, Pastor Mike here with a Watchman video broadcast. They're back at it again. The Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, I don't know if you know anything about them. One of these radical groups down in, I think they're based in Atlanta or somewhere like that. Southern Poverty Law Center. I wonder if they'll represent me because I'm poor. Anyway, they've issued a new report, scathing report, World Net Daily says. Tea Partiers just like Timothy McVeigh. A new attack by the Southern Poverty Law Center charges the Tea Party movement is shot through with radical ideas and tied with hate groups, furious anti-immigrant vigilante groups, and so-called patriot groups. The SPLC report, Rage on the Right, the Year in Hate and Extremism, assails Representative Michelle Bachmann, Republican of Minnesota, for plugging anti-government ideas, and Gun Owners of America Executive Director Leigh Pratt for daring to promote Second Amendment gun rights. The SPLC's Mark Potok warns so-called patriot groups, militias, and other organizations that see the federal government as part of a plot to impose one world government on liberty-loving Americans came roaring back after years out of the limelight. The report echoes themes in a U.S. Department of Homeland Security report last year. We talked about that on this broadcast, that characterized right-wing extremists as opponents of abortion and illegal immigration and supporters of gun rights and third-party political candidates. You know, it seemed like there was a lull in activity as far as the White House and our Congress goes, toward the end of last year into this year, because the health care bill didn't pass and all these things that we had actually warned about from the beginning of the year last year all the way through, and other organizations warned about that could be taking place. A lot of these bills that they were wanting to pass, they didn't get passed for some reason. The health care bill didn't get passed. What was some of the other things? Some of these gun things didn't get passed, and so everything just seemed like it was quieting down there for a while. And to be honest with you, I was running out of stuff to talk about on our Watchman video broadcast, but now it just seems to be scooping back up again. Now we're talking about what they call the nuclear option when it comes to health care. Someone was talking to me today about communism, and I will tell you that we in this country are making grand steps toward communism in this country. The grandest of all these steps would be a socialized medicine health care bill that they say they're going to use a nuclear option. Now, the nuclear option is basically, it's something called reconciliation in the Senate or the House of Representatives or something like that, where they don't need as many votes for it to pass. That's what they're probably going to go ahead and try to jam it through. And we are taking steps in this country toward a socialist/communist government into this country. This is where we're headed. Groups like us, the Watchman video broadcast, other groups that are out there that have tried to warn against this, we've been painted as extremists, saying that we're like Timothy McVeigh, saying that we're the ones that are trying to harm warning people that we are in fact headed into a one world global government system. And here again, it's not the conspiracy theorists that are stupid. It's the conspirators that are the ones pushing this on people, and not only in this country but all over the world. The conspirators are the they're the ones that are going out and saying, here you have Henry Kissinger going out and saying this, you have Barack Obama, you have all these other people going out and saying, yeah, this is going to bring in a new world order, yeah, we need global governance, yeah, we need all these czars in here who are communists that are going to lead this country into a more global society. You have Al Gore. I read this the other day. I should have put it in here. You have Al Gore, after all of these blizzards have moved through the East Coast, Washington, D.C., and some of our watchers out have sent me pictures of what's been going on out there. It is unreal the amount of snow that they've had out there. And Al Gore has the nerve now to get up in front of everybody and say, basically, we should expect that as a result of climate change, we would have a lot of blizzards. I don't know, but anyway, they're painting us as the nuts, and the Southern Poverty Law Center is one of the most liberal, socialist-leaning, communist-leaning organizations in the country. And I will tell you now, I just think about this, okay? The right-wing extremists in this country are the ones who have all the guns. maybe the liberals shouldn't pick a fight with the right-wing extremists. And I'm just saying. I don't think I'd use my gun on another human being unless they were tearing my house apart. But I'm just saying, I don't think maybe they should pick a fight with all the right-wing extremists, gun owners in this country. I'm going to go back to something that I've been talking about. In fact, I've got my Bible open here to Matthew 24. And I want you to understand, I believe the Bible. I mean, yeah, these are no story. And by the way, I'm going to talk about earthquakes today. You will want to hang on to your seats on this one, okay? I've got something to share with you today on these two earthquakes, the one in Haiti and the one in Chile. And I tell you, people have been sending me stuff about HAARP, the high altitude frequency antenna array or whatever it is that supposedly can do weather modification. Supposedly it fries people's brains. Supposedly it's part of mind control. The truth is we don't really know what HAARP is or what it does. I mean, it might just be this giant microwave oven for the government. I mean, I don't know. And so I was getting sent emails from people saying, hey, Pastor Mike, you need to look at this. We caused this earthquake in Haiti. And I'm going, I don't know. I stopped dead in my tracks earlier this week. I had one of these where the Lord was going, hey Mike, I want to show you something. And I'm going to show you something about these two earthquakes that since we don't know about HAARP and since we don't know about the New World Order and how they can do this and how that, we do know the King James Bible. And I'm going to show you some things from the book that maybe might make some sense. You want to hang on here. But anyway, Matthew chapter 24. These are the things that Christ told us to be looking for. As watchmen, we're to be watching things. We're to look for things, and we should be able to recognize when things happen. So here's what Jesus said, Matthew 24. He said, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. The Christ consciousness now has moved into just about every facet of American Christianity that there is. I am Christ and shall deceive many, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. This report by the Southern Poverty Law Center is a rumor of war. You shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So hang on. He said, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. We're going to talk about the earthquakes here in a little bit. But I want to get to this nation shall rise against nation. Now, you guys know me. I'm a King James guy. I believe God wrote this Bible. He wrote it in Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic, and He translated it into English. That's what I believe. And I believe it biblically. The Bible tells me that He did that. But anyway, one of the few Greek words that I know is the Greek word here for nation, that is ethnos. Ethnicity, ethnic, races. The nations are the races of the world, and we are, the Southern Poverty Law Center is one of those groups that is pushing the radical left through the African Americans in this country and the Hispanics and everybody else. I believe, now, if I believe the Southern Poverty Law Center is pushing the radical left, I also believe that there are people and organizations that are pushing the radical right. Get that in your mind, because I'm going to go back to this concept that I've been teaching throughout all the year. This idea of Baphomet. Baphomet, remember, he has salve written on one arm and he has coagula written on the other. He is about the dissolution and the rebinding or the rebuilding. You have to, in order to have a new world order, you must tear down the old world order. And in order to tear down the old world order, all you got to do is just let the two opposites clash in the middle. Things like this are doing nothing but that. This side is stirring up this side. This side is stirring up this side. And I'm telling you, people, get ready. There is going to be an inevitable clash inside of our country. All of this coincides with earthquakes. Here's another story that I wanted to deal with. The White House land grab. Here they are again. This is by Senator Jim DeMint. He said, you'd think the Obama administration is busy enough controlling the banks, insurance companies, and automakers, but thanks to whistleblowers at the Department of the Interior, we're now learning they're planning to increase their control over energy-rich land in the West. A secret administration memo has surfaced revealing plans for the federal government to seize more than 10 million acres from Montana to New Mexico. Yeah, try doing that in Montana. Montana, they've got more guns than people in Montana. Halting job-creating activities like ranching, forestry, mining, and energy development. Worse, this land grab would dry up tax revenue that's essential for funding schools, firehouses, and community centers. Now, I will say he sounds like a politician. That's what and he is a politician. But anyway, he said President Obama could act the plans in this memo with just the stroke of a pen, without any input from the communities affected by it. At a time when our national unemployment rate is 9.7%, it is unbelievable anyone would be looking to stop job-creating energy enterprises, yet that's exactly what's happening. The document lists 14 properties that, according to the document, might be good candidates for Mr. Obama to nab through presidential proclamation. Apparently, Washington bureaucrats believe it's more important to preserve grass and rocks for bird watchers and backpackers than to keep these local economies thriving. I'm not going to continue to read on this, but the government has been doing this before. In fact, I don't know, there's a thing floating around the internet. It's a map, and I don't have one. It's a map of all the places in the United States that are like UN-controlled biospheres, and it's just enormous, the amount of land that we, the people, no longer have any control over whatsoever. And apparently President Obama is going to add to that the amount of land. Now remember, land ownership is a right that's given to us by the government. No, land ownership is a right given to us by the Constitution and by the Word of God. And I'm going to show you some things. Genesis chapter 1, I'm going to show you the spirit now that is behind this. And I've taught this before, but I think it bears repeating again, especially in light of what it is we're seeing. We need to understand what's going on, that these people are not being led by an Illuminati, a group of men in Sweden somewhere, the Vatican somewhere, although that is part of it. They're being led, as you and I are led, by a spirit that doesn't like men or people on land. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Here's what God said. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. God is the one. Now watch this. God made the world. He made the whole earth, so it belongs to Him. Then God made all of the little animals and all the little trees and all the little creeping things, and it belongs to God. And then God made man, and man belongs to God. And God said, man, I'm going to let you have dominion over everything. And that's the position that God placed man in. But I want you to remember that the earth, and this is how she's worshipped throughout all the world. The earth is worshipped as a goddess. The spirit of this world is Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. That is her title, and that is the spirit that is guiding Al Gore, that's guiding all these environmentalists, that's guiding this land grab that Obama is part of. It's guiding all of this stuff. And you need to understand why she's this way. She represents, and I've said this before, but I'm going to show you this in 1 Kings. She represents the transfer of biblical authority. Here it is. God gave the earth. God gave man dominion over the earth. Okay? Who wants dominion over the earth? Lucifer does. He wants to be the god of this world. He wants to be the god of everything. And so she, that spirit, Mystery Babylon, Gaia, Ashtaroth, Diana, Ishtar, Venus, she's going to get control over the earth from man and give it to the devil. And I'm going to show you this. 1 Kings chapter 21. Her name also is Jezebel. Jesus warned us about her. He said, don't let Jezebel in your church. Don't let her run the show in your church. And here it is. Here it is, a guy by the name of Naboth. Naboth owns a vineyard. He owns land. Why? Because God gave him that land. He gave it to his forefathers. God said, pass it down, and it was passed down, and now Naboth owns it. And Ahab wants to buy the land. And he said, Ahab, I can't let you have the land. I can't do it. I can't sell it to you. It's not your right to have it, and it's not my right to sell it. So I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you. Ahab's mad. Here's what Jezebel said. Verse 7 of chapter 21. And Jezebel his wife said unto him, Dost thou now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise and eat bread, and let thine heart be merry. And I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. I'm telling you, if you ever want to know what spirit is leading the President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama, it is Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. By the way, Jezebel cannot handle the truth of the Word of God. She can't stand it. She cannot handle things that are written down in ink. She doesn't like rules. She likes to make up her own. I've talked about this spirit of intuition. And so here we have the President of the United States. We have most of the Congress that, number one, they hate the Bible, so therefore they're going to hate the Constitution of the United States. And so it doesn't matter what rights the Constitution gives you. They don't care. They're not following the rules anyway. They'll just take from you and take from you and take from you what is not their right to take. God gave it to us. Although I will say that the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And I will say that, and I've said this before, that we're in a situation right now in this country where, you know what? We've got it coming. We've got all of this that's happening right now. We deserve it. I mean, I'm going to fight it with everything that I've got. I'm going to proclaim and I'm going to watch and I'm going to send warning to America. But the truth of it is we're losing because we deserve to lose. Now, I want to talk about these earthquakes. I'm going to show you some pictures of this here. I mean, I've never seen anything like this in my life. The utter devastation that is in Haiti, number one. And Haiti was probably the least prepared in the whole world to have an earthquake. None of their buildings were built on any standards or codes whatsoever. And the place just looks like a nuclear bomb went off. And then you're talking about Chile. Chile supposedly had buildings that could withstand earthquakes. But looks like that this thing was so powerful. 8.8 earthquake on the Richter scale. Seismologists estimate that the earthquake was so powerful that it may have shortened the length of the day by 1.26 microseconds and moved the Earth's axis of rotation by 3 inches or 2.7 milliards seconds. Now, that may not sound like a lot to you, but to move an entire planet, 3 inches. Have you ever tried to move a refrigerator by yourself? Okay. Or to move a couch by yourself. I don't know if anybody, ladies, you go into your living room and say, you know what, I want the couch over there, and you try to move it yourself, and you don't just go over there and pick the thing up. If you do, I never want to meet you, okay? You never just go in and pick the whole couch up. Let's see, I think I'll set it here, and you set it down there. No, what we do is we go to the couch and we pick it up and we move it over about 3 inches and put it down. Then we go to the other end and move it over 3 inches and put it down. That's what happens. To move an entire planet 3 inches, it's just mind-boggling the amount of energy that was released at this earthquake in Chile. They were talking on the news this morning about all of our fruit and vegetables that we go to the supermarket and buy. They weren't grown here in Missouri, not this winter. They're grown in Chile. That is one of the most affluent nations in South America. They've really done well for themselves down there, stable government and all this stuff. And now their country is just literally turned upside down as a result of this earthquake. So Haiti and Chile, I mean, on two extreme ends of the economic idea, Haiti, one of the poorest, filthiest countries in the world. Chile, one of the most developed South American countries in the world. Something that I wasn't aware of when it comes to Haiti and Chile, and I don't know exactly what it means yet, but I'm going to show you a graphic here. I didn't know, but they are almost dead center north and south of each other. I mean, almost in a dead straight line. Here again, I don't know what this means. You see there on the map there, I kind of put this together for you. from our secret broadcasting compound at 1233 American Legion Drive. You can see there clearly that they are in a straight line north and south. And I'm going to share some things with you. Maybe a coincidence, but I'm not sure. Number one, I don't know of any current technology on the earth right now other than, massive nuclear bombs going off. And I mentioned HAARP a while ago, and I admit, I've looked into it, I've looked at some things, but the truth is we really don't know what HAARP is. And so I don't know how someone on this earth could have manipulated earthquakes the way these have been manipulated. But I want you to remember something. In fact, I want to keep my Bible here. We talked about these earthquakes here in Matthew 24 as a sign of the last days. And I will tell you that we've sort of waken up a little bit here because, now there's earthquakes going on all over the place. There was one in our area, the New Madrid Fault here in Missouri, massive earthquake in 1812. If something similar to that happened today, the devastation would be, it would be unbelievably bad, how bad it would be here. But anyway, there was an earthquake on the New Madrid Fault here, I think last week. There was one in I think Hong Kong yesterday. All these earthquakes are taking place all over the place. And I don't know, I'm not saying, boy, we're going to be raptured. It just any minute. In fact, I probably won't get done talking, we're going to be raptured. I'm not saying that. I am saying let's open our eyes and let's watch and see what's going on. I don't even remember where I was going. Oh, yeah, I remember now. Psalm chapter 2. I believe in a conspiracy. Don't you? Sure, you should believe in a conspiracy because there is a conspiracy. Psalm 2 is one of those places that talks about the conspirators. It says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Well, because they're heathens. That's why. You ever wonder why lost people are so mad all the time? It's because they're lost. Why is it the Southern Poverty Law Center hates Christians? Because they're lost, okay? They don't get it. Why did the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together. That is a conspiracy. When people sit at a table or they go up to each other and they whisper in each other's ear and they say, I think we ought to do this, that is the very definition of a conspiracy. And so the kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. So the conspiracy exists between the kings of the earth, the rulers of the world. Okay, the rulers take counsel together. Rulers of darkness is what Paul talked about. So I think a conspiracy must be spiritual in its context. You have to understand that spirits are the ones that are guiding this thing and the ones that are bringing this about. And it's against the Lord and against his anointed. So that would be God and us. So he says, number 3, let us break their bands asunder. Now I want you to think in this context. Okay, I've talked about the bands of marriage. I've talked about the bands that bind things that keep things from happening. Let us break their bands asunder. There is also another band. I'm fixing my tie here, okay? There is another, this little part of it here just keeps wanting to fly out and say, hi. Okay, so I'm going to keep him back in here. He doesn't belong on camera. Anyway, I don't normally talk to my tie, but anyway. Anyway, I want you to think of a band. I want you to think of something that is banded together. It is the 2 strands of deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, I want you to think about that. They are banded together by the 4 base pairs, adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine. That is a picture of the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay, so I want you to think of that way. Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. We know that, and I'm going to get into this here in a little bit, and I'm going to show you from the Bible, if you have not been following us here, kind of what I mean by that. But I felt a nudge. Jazz, our dutiful, wonderful webmaster, Jazz, down in a secret broadcast, not in a secret microcomputer server facility down in Ozark, Missouri. She always talks about how she gets these nudges every now and then from the Holy Ghost. And I do. I get these little nudges. Every now and then I get one of these, God saying, do this. But the other night I got a nudge. And it was like God was saying, look at the dates. Mike, look at the dates. And I've had that happen before. And so, I was at home. I didn't have a computer in front of me. I didn't have internet or anything like that. So I thought, well, I'm going to wait till the next day. And I come in the next day, which I think was Wednesday, and I looked at the dates. The Haiti earthquake took place January the 12th. That date, nothing really significant about that day other than it's the 12th day of the year. The Chile earthquake took place February the 27th. Here again, nothing significant about that. There is a date in there in the middle. It is February the 2nd, which is the 33rd day of the year. If you remember the movie Groundhog Day, Groundhog Day was about the emergence of the God man, because this man kept reliving his life all over again, dying and resurrecting and getting better, and he was climbing up the ladder of godhood on the 33rd day of the year, February the 2nd. The comic book series I have called The Son of Satan. The Son of Satan is the son of Lucifer and a human woman, and he is born on February the 2nd. There's all this stuff I talk about in some of our videos about that. So anyway, there's that day there. But anyway, there's something else that goes along with this. When I counted the number between the dates, January the 12th and February the 27th, I ended up with exactly 46 days. Now, if you followed our ministry, you know that number is very, very important, and I'll show you why. Psalm chapter 139, verse 16, thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance was fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. David was describing for us by inspiration of the Holy Ghost the DNA strand, which we know is written exactly like a book. In fact, here's a little graphic I found here. DNA is written out exactly like a book. It is a book that God wrote, and DNA is stored in what's called X chromosomes, and those X chromosomes are stored in the cell nucleus, and it's like a perfect picture of the law inside of the Ark of the Covenant in the most holy place of the tabernacle. Everything about this is it just blows me away. But I want you to also notice that an X chromosome, I want you to notice what it looks like. It looks like a cross or an X, and I want you to think about that, because we're going to see some things that we're going to tie it together here in our broadcast. And oh, by the way, here's this graphic here. Those chromosomes are paired in pairs, and there's exactly 23 of those pairs, or precisely 46 chromosomes that make up our DNA. Now, I'm going to show you some patterns that leads me to believe that the timing of the earthquakes, I believe, is significant. I think it sends a message, or I think it's part of a greater plan, part of what we've been watching for. In this broadcast and in our ministry, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. We'll get to that here in a minute. And I want you to note that in your King James Bible, all of this started out, and God just had me count things in the Bible. If you go to Genesis chapter 3, you will find this exactly what Lucifer says to Eve. The exact words that the serpent speaks to Eve in Genesis chapter 3 in the Garden of Eden to cause a change in her. He spoke exactly 46 words. So therefore, now that she has sinned and Adam has sinned, the Bible says that all that are born of Adam and Eve, they are all sinners. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. That's like Romans 3:23. And so I want you to get this concept. In Genesis chapter 11, when they are building a tower, and I want you to look at this tower. This tower, I think it looks like DNA. It is a spiral staircase, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But in the narrative, in the biblical narrative, in the King James Bible of Genesis chapter 11, they are speaking exactly 46 words. Go to, let us make brick. Who is it that builds with bricks? Masons. There you go. Let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. Go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Exactly 46 words again, and I think it all has to do with the human genome, or man's DNA. I want you to look at another pattern here and found in the King James Bible, Luke 23:23. That's a 46, by the way. And they were in an instant with loud voices requiring that he might be crucified. Now that is the 23rd occurrence of the word crucify or crucified in the King James Bible. And crucifixion has to do with the death of your flesh. And that's why, and that's why when we look at the temple that Solomon built, we get this pattern of 23s. Remember, your body is the temple of God. This body that is right now is the temple of God. So when we see a temple in the Old Testament, we're to think of this body right here. In the Masonic House of the Lodge temple, they write on their building, Masonry builds its temples in the hearts of men all over the world. And remember, Masons are all about building Solomon's temple. So when we look in the Bible, 1 Kings chapter 7 verse 21, there is an interesting thing here that God showed me here a couple years ago. It just blew me away. Remember these two columns that were built in Solomon's temple, Jachin and Boaz. Both of them are exactly 23 cubits tall, 46 cubits in total. They are a representation of the 46 chromosomes where our DNA is stored. Now, that is exactly the focus of what Freemasonry talks about. Freemasonry says that their secret, in fact, I got Fat Albert's book here. I always keep it here with me. It's just good to have old Fat Albert around here. Fat Albert Pike, and he writes in Morals and Dogma, and he talks about it here. He talks about Jachin and Boaz. And he says the secrets of Masonry are in Jachin and Boaz. Now we know what he's referring to. He's referring to the secret of Freemasonry, which has to do with man's DNA. So I want you to get a glimpse of these two towers. Think about that for a minute. Jachin and Boaz, representing the 46 chromosomes, man's DNA. Remember, solva and coagula. The old has to be brought down so new can rise up in its place. Think about it. Think about man's DNA. Man has to be destroyed so he can be rebuilt. So here you have these two towers called Jachin and Boaz. Destroyed, brought down. And a new one, a third one, is rising in its place. That is exactly what the plan of the ages is. You remember this. This is a game called the Illuminati, was prefigured. I mean, this whole thing about this game came out before September 11th, 2001. And here you see the Twin Towers blowing up. Remember this rap group called Coup, Party Music. I wonder if Barack Obama has this album. I bet he does. Because a coup is a military takeover. Party music refers to the Communist Party. And here they are. This album comes out, I think, in May of 2001, before the World Trade Centers were destroyed. These buildings being blown up, I mean, almost in the exact places where those planes land. All of this was seen in a tarot card called the Tower. Remember, Jachin and Boaz, the two towers. The Tower card basically spells out that the old institutions are coming down. Here you have this imagery of a tower being destroyed, catching on fire, lightning. I wonder who that is. Destroying it, people falling out of it. The Tower card promises that a new one is going to rise up in its place. Then we go to the Masonic Lodge, the House of the Temple Lodge, Washington, D.C. You have these two spiral staircases, which are a picture of human DNA. 23 steps on one side, 23 steps on the other, 46 in total. This number in the Bible is a number associated with death and sacrifice. Paul said, I am crucified with Christ. Why? Because we have X chromosomes. We have these little crosses inside of ourselves showing the death of this flesh. And so here we have the Masonic House of the Temple Lodge, 23 steps on a winding staircase, just like DNA, 23 and 23, that's 46. Oh, in front of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., you have exactly 46 steps coming from the reflecting pool up to the top. I was there and I counted them one time. And by the way, you walk up the 46 steps and enter the temple where the statue of a god is. See, it's pretty simple, isn't it? Do you remember where you were if you were old enough? November the 22nd, 1963. when a man received a deadly head wound. He was 46 years old. I'm going to do a video on that this year. Are you seeing a pattern? The destruction, death, breaking down the old so a new can be built up. And associated with the number 40, the exact number of chromosomes that we have where our DNA is stored in our bodies. I'm telling you, there's a pattern here. Okay? And in doing this research yesterday, here's something I didn't know. And I called Jazz, our webmaster down there, and I mentioned this to her, and she said, oh yeah, I used to be Catholic, I know this. And I said, and you never bothered to tell me. Well, I didn't think about it. We just went into the season of Lent. Now, I've been going around telling everybody that Rick Warren's purpose-driven life, 40 Days of Purpose, was based upon the season of Lent and the 40 days. That's what I knew about it. I didn't know that Lent actually lasts longer than 40 days. It starts with Ash Wednesday. Let's see, Ash Wednesday. The day on Wednesday where you go to the Roman Catholic Church and they take the ashes of things that have been burnt and they put, oh look, they're putting an X chromosome on people's heads here. Imagine that. And Ash Wednesday leads up to Easter Sunday. Now, this is all about the death and the resurrection, or the giving of life again. Let me read this to you from the Bible so you think, well, it's talking about Jesus? No. It's not, and I'm going to show you that. Revelation chapter 13 here. Let me get in the right place. The beast which I saw was likened to a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. Remember JFK? Where was he wounded at? Where are they putting this ash on here? And his deadly wound was healed. All throughout Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma, and all throughout Dan Brown's lost symbol, they're talking about the death and the resurrection of the lost symbol, the lost word of Freemasonry, the Antichrist, Osiris, Bacchus, Apollyon, Hermes Trismegistus. All of these are emblems of the Antichrist. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the Roman Catholic Church is all about bringing in the work of the Antichrist in the last days, including the mother of all harlots, Mystery Babylon herself. And so I want you to think about this. So here we have Ash Wednesday, and exactly 46 days later, you have Easter Sunday, where we have the resurrection. Listen to this article concerning, the article says, where does the Catholic Ash Wednesday originate from? This says, every Catholic in the world knows what Ash Wednesday it is. The Wednesday after Quinquagesima Sunday. Boy, I never read that one before, which is the first day of the Lenten fast. This is the day when Catholics put ash on their forehead as a religious tradition. The question is, how many devoted Catholics really know the real story behind Ash Wednesday? How many know that this tradition has clear pagan roots? Ash Wednesday was taken from Roman paganism, which took it from Vedic India. Ashes were called the seed of the fire god Agni. Think about it. The seed of the god with power to forgive sins. Ashes were said to be a symbol for the purifying blood of Shiva, in which one could bathe away sins. During Rome's New Year Feast of Atonement in March, people wore sackcloth and bathed in ashes to atone for their sins, as the dying god of March, Mars, took his worshippers' sins with him into death. The carnival fell on Dies Martis, the day of Mars. In English, this day was Tuesday. Hence, we get the word Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, because Mars was identified with the Saxon god Tieu. In French, the carnival day was Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, the day of merrymaking before Ash Wednesday. Ashes are the residue. Now, listen to this. Ashes are the residue of fire, and just as fire is regarded in mythology and folklore as something which purifies and also regenerates or brings new life, so the same properties are associated within the ashes. So I want you to get this imagery here of ashes, something after 46 days rising up out of the ashes. And that's where you get the symbol of the phoenix. The phoenix is a mythical bird. The phoenix is the essential identifying mark of the Antichrist. The phoenix is the Antichrist. This bird rising up, being killed and destroyed in fire, That's where the beast is right now. He's in the bottomless pit. He's in hell. And he's going to rise up out of his own ashes into resurrection. And all of this happens in a period of 46 days. I'm interested to see what's going to come of these two earthquakes in Haiti and in Chile concerning the rising of the Antichrist or the bringing in of a new world order. I am interested to see what's going to happen. Here's a quote, a page actually, out of Alexander Hislop's The Two Babylons, and he's talking about the pagan feast of Lent. He says, it is highly probable that the 40 days fast of Lent was made in later times to have reference to both. Among the pagans, this Lent seems to have been an indispensable preliminary to the great annual festival in commemoration of the death and resurrection of Tammuz, which was celebrated by alternate weeping and rejoicing, and which in many countries was considerably later than the Christian festival, being observed in Palestine and Assyria in June, therefore called the month of Tammuz in Egypt. This is the name that actually shows up in your King James Bible. Remember, God is taking Ezekiel all through He's taking him through the temple area, and he's showing him the abominations that are, listen to this now, this is good. He's showing him the abominations that are going on inside of the organized religion of the country. Boy, can't we see that taking place right now. And I'm telling you people, the organizations, the denominations, the ministries of which we used to be a part of, they are growing more corrupt every day. And the higher up the ladder you go, this is what you see. But at some point, God takes Ezekiel and he says, I want to show you this. In chapter 8, verse 13, he said also unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Undoubtedly had a little X chromosome in ash sprinkled upon their forehead. Now, again, I'm going to say this. It remains to be seen. I believe in patterns. When God nudged me on this saying, and I'm not saying this is thus saith the Lord. I may be an idiot for bringing this up, but I think I see a pattern here, and I think it remains to be seen what is going to follow next as a result of this. But I wanted you to be aware. I think that we're living in interesting times. And when it comes to earthquakes, here's what the Bible says. Matthew 27, verse 50. Jesus said, when he had cried again with a loud voice and yielded up the ghost, and behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent, and the graves were opened, and many of the bodies of the saints which slept arose. I will tell you, I believe in the symbols and the stories and the types and the figures in the Bible. I believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I believe in the resurrection of you and I. If we die before we're translated into heaven, I believe that we'll be resurrected. But I also believe in the resurrection of the beast in the last days. And I think, according to the things given to us in the Scriptures, I think that it's going to be accompanied by earthquakes. Certainly, this is starting to make sense to me. Remember when we talked about Joel's army in a few broadcasts, we've talked about the whole Joel's army thing and how Joel's army really wasn't all these super Christians that were better than everybody. It was actually this demonic league that comes out of the bottomless pit. Joel chapter 2 verse 9, they shall run to and fro in the city, and they shall run upon the wall, and they shall climb upon the houses, and they shall enter in at the windows like a thief, or like politicians, and the earth shall quake before them. In other words, the earthquakes are going to take place first, and then Joel's army. The earth shall quake before them, and the heavens shall tremble, the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Go back to read Matthew chapter 24. You're going to find the exact same there. Go read Acts chapter 2. Go read other places in the Bible where the sun is darkened and the moon does not give her light, and then the stars fall. We're talking, I believe, about the same event. Revelation chapter 6, and I beheld, and when he had opened the sixth seal, the number 6, very important here, lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as the sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. In fact, I will tell you that in this particular case here, in the earthquake that took place in Chile, the whole earth moved 3 inches, moved out of its place 3 inches. That's a big thing. The Bible says that in the last days that there's going to be earthquakes that are so terrible. The Bible says the earth is going to reel to and fro like a drunkard. Remember, Mystery Babylon the Great has a cup in her hand whereby she has made the entire earth drunken with the wine of her fornication. As little as I know about how you make an earthquake happen, I'm starting to believe now that a conspiracy, spiritual forces working together to bring in a new world order, I think they just left their mark, their signature of what they've done. If you want more information on this, I suggest getting our video, The Babel Conspiracy. We talk a lot about these little signatures that are taking place, things that are happening that have significant dates or occult numerology or symbolism associated with it. I'm working on a rewrite of a book that I wrote in 2004 called The Babel Conspiracy, and I'm updating it right now. Maybe we'll have that available sometime in the near future through our ministry. But anyway, folks, it's starting to get interesting again, the times that we're living in. And I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you, are you saved? Are you born again? Are you a Bible-believing Christian? I'm not saying are you a self-regenerated, self-rehabilitated, self-thinking, I don't need a Bible to be a Christian. I'm asking you, are you a born-again, Bible-believing Christian? You can believe all the conspiracy theories in the world, but unless you believe the Bible, you're going to go stand in line to get a mark on your right hand or forehead. This is Pastor Mike. I love you. Continue to pray for our ministry. Thank you so much for all the encouragement, all the responses, all the emails, Man, you guys are good to me. I love you so much. Thank you so much for making this, what we do here, so much fun. And I hope it's a blessing to you. Pray that God will come along one day and give me another one of those little nudges. And I'll share it with you on the next Watch Me Video God broadcast. This is Pastor Mike. And we'll see you on the next Pure Bible Study. God bless you. Bye-bye.